like what you saw from Bryn Teakle on the weekend to bring him into your side this weekend?
Yeah, we did, and yes, we will, which is exciting for us. I said this morning when I announced to the boys that he was playing his first game, that in my time in football, I've never seen anyone make get their first game within 14 days. So it's a great result. You know, he's been at our club for 14 days, and he's now going to play his first AFL game. It's one of the great stories of the mid-season draft, isn't it? I mean, I think I've read somewhere around Carlton maybe doing something similar. So they're great stories, and for boys who are not on an AFL list to actually be running out and playing an AFL game, it's just a great story and a good reason to continue on with it.
Can you tell us how you did it and what his reaction was?
Oh, yeah, no, I just announced it to the group, and basically that talked about the journey that I've been on and how long it's been, and I've not seen something like this happen in the past. So it's a remarkable performance, and he's got great energy. We found that already in 2 weeks, how much energy he brings, and he played with great energy at the sample level, so it'll be exciting for us.
Start training, he was on the phone to someone. Was that his parents? Or?
That was his parents, yes. Yeah, it was a nice moment for him to share with his parents.
So how do you structure up all the times now with that change?
Well, we've got a few structural changes to our team, so we've had to make some changes. We've got a few people missing, so we've got Gray missing, we've got Motlop omitted, we've got Boak, health and safety, and we've got Dumont with a calf. So there's about 900 odd games of experience that are leaving our side, but we'll bring in some young people and some exciting people with Georgiadis, Mead, just thinking off the top, Frederick and Bryn. So it's an exciting group of young players that we're bringing into the team.
So was it always tough with Gray because he was so banged up early in the year? How have you...
Yeah, we're managing Rob this week. Be really clear on Robbie. We're giving Robbie the best chance to perform at his best when he plays in the next few weeks, whenever that may be. But we had the break, we had the bye, and he still wasn't quite at his absolute best. And he just needs to get some continuity into his game and some training form as well as because he's tried to play. To be honest, he's tried to play for the first 10 or 12 weeks without training, and that's unsustainable. No matter how good you are, we know how great Rob's been.
So what is your ruck setup? We've got now people coming in.
Teakle will play on the ruck.
Being supporting.
We played with obviously Jeremy and Charlie last week, and we've played with Pal Pepper over the journey as well. So, and we've got Marshalls. We've got great options now as far as what we can support and back up in our ruck position. We'll have some great flexibility.
Was that move as much about wanting to have another ruck in as it is about Brinsville?
No, I think clearly Bryn hasn't had a lot of form. He's had solid form in the waffle, but it's more around being able to play our forwards as dangerous players as much as we possibly can and score. So we're trying to increase our scoring capacity with the players that we've got available to us at the moment, and we think that's our best option. And Bryn showed last week, even he's a threat as a forward, he kicked 3 goals, so we think that gives us great flexibility to score.
What about the small forward setup then, given Motlop and Gray out? How does that sort of look in terms?
Yeah, the players that we've used over the last couple of weeks have been, Butters, Rosie, Pal Pepper and Jones have been basically our smaller type forwards, which bring a lot of pressure for us as well. So we're really comfortable in that space. We've got enough people and got great flexibility through our group.
Any of the boys coming in going to play that role?
Small forward role?
Yeah.
Well, they all may at some point.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of Bryn, probably not the small forwards role, but but George Jarvis plays as a forward, obviously, and we've got great running capacity. We think he can play a medium to tall forward as well. So we've got good flexibility.
I guess I was referring to Mead.
Oh yeah, no, Mead. Sorry, I
I
hope that Mead comes in and gets a good amount of time around the ball because we think he's a developing young midfielder. We're really happy with, and he's emerging this year. He's got a great opportunity this week against another reasonably young midfield too in Sydney, so he'll get a chance to go head to head with some good players. But yes, he'll definitely spend some time forward.
Do you need to move Rosie up forward a little bit more to become a little bit more dangerous with those other?
No more than we have been. I don't think no more than we have been. We've been able to use both Zach and Connor a bit forward and a bit midfield all the way through this year, and predominantly mid, which is what we expect from Connor.
So the main concern, Kent's scoring power at the moment. Defensively, he's been...
Yeah, been very good defensively, but we do still need to put some scoreboard pressure on. So against a side like Sydney, who are a great attacking side and have been a really strong defensive team, your balance has to be right both ways. But you certainly can't take your eye off defence. Otherwise, with the talent they have in their front half and through their midfield, they'll certainly put a score on you.
So why haven't you been scoring as much as you like?
There's been a few reasons. There's been a few reasons with personnel. There's been a few reasons with the way we've played. There's also been a few reasons with the places we've played at. So it's not as simple as one simple thing, but we think the personnel this week that we're bringing gives us a great opportunity to improve our scoring.
Can you speak a little bit more just on Bryn as a person, Ken? I spoke to Charlie during the week and I kept calling him a rooster and the energy.
Yeah, he does bring great energy. Well, to be fair, Max, we've had him for 14, 15 days, so it's really hard to summarise, but your first impressions are usually really accurate, and he's a really infectious person. He's a really bubbly person, and his spirit that he's already brought into the place, and we've brought a little bit of spirit into the place, which has been really timely for us, and he brings some excitement. But if you want me to describe him, I'd say he's an infectious person. He's a really easy to like fella.
And I suppose, what does it mean for you to be able to find someone in the mid-season draft like this who you can play 2 weeks later, whereas you wouldn't have been able to a few years?
Yeah, that's a great story of the mid-season draft. I don't think there's any doubt that it's beneficial, and competition, it works for the competition. I hope it doesn't hurt the lower competitions too much, but certainly for boys and their dreams, I think it's an outstanding opportunity for them. And we've seen a number of players who have already been taking the mid-season draft going on and are having still great careers.
Can you talk about living in the now, but you can't avoid what the premiership table's telling you? It's getting tougher to crack into the top 8. Is sensing anything needs to change to make a dramatic change on that front?
Other than consistently performing well week to week, and that's where we need to make sure we keep our focus, is that in last week's game we were right in against a quality team, and it's no surprise you perhaps lose a game to Richmond by a couple of goals at the end of a tight game, but we would have loved and needed to probably win that game, but it makes just every game you get coming up immediately super important for us, and we understand that, and we get that. There'll come a time that things will become outside your reach. If that was to be the case, I'd talk about it then, but not now. Now it's too much to be gained this week for us to take our eye off the ball.
So you don't look at changing anything at selection, like investing more in the future?
No, we're invested in winning this week, and we just have to stay in that space because it's so important for us, as every week is.
Scotty was out there, it looks like kicking the footies and running around.
Getting closer.
Yeah,
getting closer. He's about 9 weeks. About 9 weeks into his recovery, which is typically 12 to 13, 14 weeks. Hopefully he may be a little bit shorter, but we won't rush. We'll make sure he's right, but looks like around 12-week mark.
And I want to ask about Xavier Dersma. Where's he at?
He's in emergencies this week, so he'll be, he's getting closer. He's still working really hard to get his game right. And we think in 2 of the last 3 games at the level below, we've seen some improvement that we're enjoying, and he's working really hard. As I said, he had some disruptions. Him and Miles have been incredibly disrupted through the early part of the year, which has made it a real challenge as younger players to emerge in their best form.
Have you seen a response from those boys? I think both of them in particular. I think Jacko was mentioned by a CD a couple of weeks ago as we want to pick him, but we can't pick him. Have you seen a response from them, whether it be on the track or in that form? Yeah,
I think we certainly have when we pick a meaty, so it's a great result that we've got him back into some form that we think can help. And as I said, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, particularly X and Mead have been going better, and the Miles has been a little bit still trying to find it, but he has had a horrendous run when it comes to training for a start. Now he's had 2 weeks of really good training, so we expect he'll be getting there very soon.
How's Butters going this week with the fracture?
Yeah, fine.
No guard to be worn, so he's okay with that?
No, he's fine. He's growled at me before because he's got a couple of stitches still in his face. I said, why do I have to train a pink hat? This is ridiculous. Pink hat means no contact, unfortunately, but he thinks it's ridiculous, but we trust the doctor.
Likely to be just one for both in terms of when he entered protocols?
Yeah, typically that's what's been for most people in the competition. It tends to be, but borderline is if it was a Saturday or Friday, it makes it a bit tougher, but Travis has gone in before that, so for us it means he'll probably be above. We play the following Sunday, I imagine, all things being equal. Speaking to him again this morning, COVID's a funny thing. Some people just don't seem like they've got anything wrong with them, but you have to do what you have to do.
And Gray, might you expect to manage for just this week as well, right?
No, we won't put a time frame on Robbie. Just make sure he gets through the next couple of weeks of good training, and then I'll tell you what will happen. Robbie will emerge really quickly, and he'll show us on the training track that he's capable of being Robbie Gray, and once he's capable of that, you won't have this coach holding him out for long.
I don't know if you said it before, but what are we managing in particular? Was it knee?
Yeah, his knee, that his issues he's had all year. It's the knee he had in round 1, and people forget that round 1 Robbie Gray had an absolute outstanding pre-season, and someone fell across his leg in round 1 at Brisbane, and just hasn't been able to get over it since then. And all the things have been investigated and researched, whether it did or didn't need some surgery or anything like that. It's purely around rest. It's as hard as it is. It's been a really simple issue, but it just doesn't resolve itself totally. And Rob's played with it with some discomfort. And it's just getting to a point where non-training and discomfort together are just making it too hard for him to perform at his best.
And relying on the Swans and the way that they play.
Pretty good team. Yeah, pretty good team. I mean, we've got a great record against them. Hopefully we can maintain that record against them. And They're the club I always talk about. I seem to talk about some clubs that I really like a lot, and you know, John and the way that the club is run, and lucky enough I know Tom and Charlie Gardner. I've got a good connection with some of them people there, and you go, well, you understand why they're such a great organisation. We understand the challenge that they will place upon us this week, and the challenge that we are more than capable of overcoming.
Any chinks in their armour that you've already?
Oh, they're clearly they've had some issues. 'Cause they haven't won every game, and they've lost some games. You know, like every team in the competition, they've had some challenges at time. But they look like a pretty good team when they're at their absolute best. But I think everyone can look like a pretty good team at their best. So we're going to go searching for those chinks, and we have good understanding of how they like to play. It's whether we can maximise our ability to play the game at our level.
Do you expect them to bring Hinkley back as well, or have two rucks, Lavins and Hinkley against the new fella?
Look, I don't know. I don't know. I should even try and guess that. I'd imagine they're pretty happy with their current setup, but I don't know.
What's it like for, I mean, you're not Peter Adams, but when a player goes up against their old team?
No, it's always an event that they probably more often than not like to get done and get out of the way and move on. Some play well, some don't. There's no great history to it. I think we've had players come to our club and played against their former club regularly. I mean, the game's bigger than that. We don't even spend any time too much thinking about it, to be honest, because we sit there and think about Josh Sin and the outcomes of what we might get and what we might not get. We don't think about the absolute next game. List management is a much bigger game.
Do you think it would be uncomfortable for him?
For Pete,
What will make it uncomfortable for him?
he's opposition player. That's what happens.